This is my review of notes I took while reading William Cooper's The Secret Government document. You can find this document for free online, and you could also find pretty much the elements of what I'm going to cover spoken by William Cooper himself in interviews on YouTube that you can find if you look it up. So, 13 crashed alien spacecraft in the United States. Between 1947 and 1952, at least 16 crashed or downed alien craft were recovered with 65 dead alien bodies and one living alien. 3 incidents took place outside of USA, Norway, and 2 in Mexico. We could also assume that the 1947 crash was the infamous Roswell. Above top secret classification. February 13th, 1948, craft found on a mesa near Aztec, New Mexico. On March 25th, 1948, a 100-foot craft was found nearby in Aztec, New Mexico. So that's the same place twice, 1 month, a little over a month after each other. 17 total aliens recovered. You know, if you think of the movie Super 8, they were transporting aliens on that train. A large number of human body parts were found stored in the vehicles. That's kind of creepy. Human body parts were found stored in the vehicles. So even if alien is like a metaphor, because sometimes when you read UFO folklore, they're just using alien to cover up what group, whatever the case is, whatever group transporting human body parts is kind of strange. Unless, of course, it's for like organ transplants. Project Sign and Project Grudge. Project Sign was to study the alien phenomenon. Project Sign evolved into Grudge in 1948. Blue Book was a disinformation campaign, and Project Pounce came out of Grudge. These are all like projects that you can look up online, Wikipedia, to learn more information. The way I had always learned about Grudge was that Grudge was designed to shoot down anybody that talks about aliens, to make them seem like lunatics. But, you might need to look deeper. Truman creates CIA by executive order. December 9, 1947, memo NSC-4, Coordination of Foreign Intelligence Information Measures. So I guess, so that's how the CIA was created. In this document, a lot of this document was Cooper discussing like the formation of the CIA and NSC. I'm not going to cover that too much because I think over the past 25 years, a lot of stuff has come out about that. Secretary of Defense Forrestal objects to alien secrecy. James Forrestal objected to the secrecy and was isolated, discredited, had a sheet tied around his neck, and thrown out the window. He plummeted to his death. I'm assuming there was a different cover story that I think they said he committed suicide. Living alien rescued at Roswell, 1949. So it's kind of interesting. They crashed twice there. Named EBE, Extra Biological Entity, named by Vannevar Bush. During the first year, the alien would not speak, or he would tell lies when interrogated. During the second year, he began to provide startling revelations, which was chronicled in the Yellow Book. Photos were taken and viewed in Project Grudge. So, if you look up the Yellow Book, you can't really get much good information on it. It does go by like some other name, but when I looked it up, it just seemed like kind of some disinfo stuff. With the Yellow Book, it's like you could only read it in linear order, and if you stop reading it, you have to go back to the beginning. The alien biological system is based on chlorophyll process. In 1951, an alien got sick. Doctors couldn't figure out why. How could they know how to treat an alien? The alien's body behaved like a plant. A botanist named Dr. Guillermo Mendoza was brought in to save the alien's life. Mendoza tried his best, but the alien died in mid-1952. Mendoza became an expert on alien biology. So in this case, you could look up Dr. Guillermo Mendoza to learn more about that. The USA began broadcasting signals into space requesting help for the alien in 1952. Aliens did not come to the rescue. That just kind of reminds me of E.T. E.T. Phone Home. And, if you know the story of when E.T. was shown to the White House, Ronald Reagan leaned over to Steven Spielberg and said, Steven, there aren't about 6 people in this room that know how close to the truth this movie is. Truman creates the NSA to decipher alien language. Project Sigma. Project Sigma was to decipher alien communication, which required them to record all communication, including humans. The global surveillance is there to protect you from aliens. So when you're getting wiretapped, just think it's to protect you from the aliens. The NSA communicates with Lunar Base and other secret space programs. Project Plato. Establish diplomatic relations with a race of aliens. If you would like to learn more about that, look up Project Plato. The NSA is above the law. The primary task of NSA is alien communication, but also other alien projects. So I think Will Smith worked for the NSA, if I remember correctly, in Men in Black. But a lot of this document was William Cooper lamenting the powers that the NSA and CIA had that weren't granted by the Constitution. The USA shares alien secrets with the USSR. And they did this just in case the aliens turned out to be hostile. Cooper also said that the USA and USSR really were never at war in the Cold War, but it was a joint operation to combat the aliens. And that we were the greatest of allies. Eisenhower tackles alien problem. In 1953, 10 more crashed alien discs were recovered with 26 dead aliens and 4 living aliens. It's a lot of aliens, man. Eisenhower and Rockefeller joined forces. Big mistake. Aliens from Pleiades warned the U.S. about Greys. Pleiadians wanted the USA to disarm nuclear weapons. The USA did not agree. Greys were orbiting Earth. A lot of the alien encounters with humans in the 50s was always about disarming our nuclear weapons. And I just always felt like it was communist propaganda or something to, weaken the U.S. That the aliens were watching from space and were upset that we had the nukes. I don't think they'd care. Because the sun is a nuke. Aliens from Orion greet President Eisenhower. In 1954, large-nosed gray aliens which were orbiting Earth landed at Holloman Air Force Base. They landed a second time at Edwards Air Force Base. Eisenhower's cover story was that he was visiting a dentist when he went to meet them. There's also a story called The Stranger at the Pentagon about Valiant Thor who met with Eisenhower. So the concept kind of remains, but they just changed the details. A treaty was signed with the alien nation ambassador Krill. So this might also be, Krill might be Thor, or might be that guy from The Day the Earth Stood Still. But the way this document, it said that the treaty signed between the USA and the alien nation, first alien ambassador from outer space, whose name and title were His Omnipotent Highness Krill. Americans secretly called him the original hostage Krill. The landing was filmed and exists in a vault somewhere. The details of the treaty. Aliens would not interfere in our affairs, and we would not interfere in theirs. We would keep their presence on Earth a secret, and they could furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. So it grants the USA exclusive access to ET. And what I'm assuming happened was the group that made this treaty became the breakaway civilization utilizing off-world technology that Richard Dolan and Catherine Austin Fitts talk about, as well as the movie Elysium. Details of this treaty continued. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulation that humans would not be harmed, and would be returned to their point of abduction, that the humans would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis. Somehow I don't think the aliens are going to cooperate with this one. Alien personnel exchanged and underground base constructed. Alien guests remained on Earth, and human guests would travel to the aliens' point of origin for a specified period of time and then return, exchanging personnel to their home planet. It's the Alien Human Exchange Program. Bases would be constructed underground for the use of the alien nation. 2 bases would be constructed for the joint use of the alien nation and the U.S. government. Exchange of technology would take place in the jointly occupied bases. Alien spacecraft tested in Nevada, Project Red Light. Test flying alien-like aircraft. Project Red Light was test flying alien-like aircraft. It was built at Groom Lake, aka Dreamland, aka S4, aka the Dark Side of the Moon, aka Area 51. The movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Independence Day depicted it. Project Snowbird was designed to explain away UFO sightings, which were really craft from Project Red Light. Secret Fund finances 75 underground bases in the United States. Surfer story was that these facilities were built for the president in case of war. Top Secret DUM stands for Deep Underground Military Bases. White House Underground Construction Fund was set up in 1957 by Eisenhower. Money to build all of these sites were laundered through a circuitous web. So there's a bunch of underground bases in the United States, it sounds like. Rockefeller assumes post as Cold War strategist. NSC-5410 memo defines the scope of MJ-12. 5412/1, 1955. 5412 Committee Special Group, the Jason Society, the Jason Scholars. Members came from the Skull and Bones and Scroll and Key. The Wise Men by Isaacson, I think, was a book that describes it. The Trilateral Commission got their logo from the alien flag insignia known as the Trilateral Insignia. Aliens break treaty, mutilate human bodies. By 1955, humans and animals were being mutilated all across the USA. So this is where I said the aliens would not be holding up their end. Abductees were not returned, nor was the list being turned in. What a surprise. They're slackers too. 1955, Eisenhower issued NSC 5412/2, establishing a committee to explore all factors which are involved in the making and implementing of foreign policy in the nuclear age. William Cooper was pretty fascinated with this. NSC 5412, he spoke about it in a lot of videos I've seen, especially his speech called The Secret Government. Major finding resulted from alien study. Economic collapse. A finding of the study was that the public could not be told about the aliens, since it was believed that this knowledge most certainly would lead to economic collapse, religious collapse, national panic, and anarchy. Just like the War of the Worlds, that when H.G. Wells read it. Second major finding: genetic experiments upon humans. Aliens were using humans and animals for sources of glandular secretions, enzymes, hormonal secretions, and blood, as well as in horrible genetic experiments. Aliens explained these actions as necessary to their survival. Our current weapon technology was useless against aliens. Since the weapons were useless, MJ-12 continued friendly diplomatic relations with them until such time as we could challenge them militarily. You know, that kind of reminds me of, if you've seen The Man of Steel, the U.S. government, or the U.S. military couldn't do anything to hurt Superman. And he was like, look, you can't stop me. You just got to trust me. Project Joshua was a weapon captured from the Germans, which at that time was capable of shattering 4-inch thick armor plate at a range of 2 miles using low-frequency sound waves. It was believed that we could use this versus the aliens. Excalibur was a weapon carried by missile designed to penetrate and kill aliens in their underground bases. So could that have been the bunker busters that we have? And Project Joshua, it's I guess it's like a low frequency sound waves. So is that an EMP? We got these weapons, Project Joshua. Aliens show hologram of Christ and claim to be able to time travel. Humans didn't know if aliens invented our religions or not. The aliens explained that they had created us through hybridization and had manipulated the human race through religion, Satanism, witchcraft, magic, and the occult. and they were capable of time travel. The Jason scholars make alternatives 1, 2, and 3. It's famously known as Alternative 3. But Alternative 1 was use nuclear devices to blast holes in the stratosphere from which the heat and pollution would escape into space. Change the human cultures from that of exploitation into cultures of environmental protection. So this sounds like two things came out of that. One is HARP, and two is the green economy. That's interesting. Alternative 2, build a vast network of underground cities and tunnels in which a select representation of all cultures and occupations would survive and carry on the human race. The rest of humanity would be left to fend for themselves on the surface of the planet. So that sounds like what they proposed in the movie Dr. Strangelove at the end, which was by Stanley Kubrick. Alternative 3, exploit the alien and conventional technology in order for a select few to leave the Earth and establish colonies in outer space. So that sounds like 2001 Space Odyssey and more recently Elysium. 3 alternatives continued. The moon is codenamed Adam. Mars is codenamed Eve. All three of these alternatives included birth control, sterilization, and the introduction of deadly microbes to control or slow the growth of the Earth's population. AIDS. Drugs fund the CIA and other secret programs. Illegal drugs fund alien and black market projects. What a surprise. Official space program and the real space program. Kennedy created the space program to funnel vast amounts of money into black projects to fund the real space program and conceal it from the American people. The Soviets did the same thing. Shortly after 1962, a Mars colony was beginning construction. Yeah, 1962, a Mars colony was beginning construction. Cities exist on Mars and are populated today. The Cold War was a pretend war to fund projects in the name of national defense, when in fact we are the closest allies. I think I mentioned that earlier. Driver was killed by Kennedy. So at this point, the book, this document's starting to turn into his smorgasbord of his own conspiracy theories. Secret Service agent William Greer driving the car shot Kennedy. And he's referring to the wide angle Zapruder film, I think. All moon trips were accompanied by aliens. Moonbase. Luna is a joint base ran by the USA, Russians, and aliens. Alternative 3 is real. Apollo astronauts were ordered to remain silent. Geneva, Switzerland is the headquarters of the international conspiracy. Transatmospheric vehicles. TAV. Transatmospheric vehicles. Examples are the Aurora. It's a craft at Area 51. It makes regular trips into space. It is a TAV. It can take off from the ground using a 7-mile runway, go into high orbit, return on its own power, and land on the same runway. Pretty cool. Pilots have made interplanetary voyages in these craft and have been to the moon, Mars, and other planets aboard these craft. If you find this part hard to believe, just look up Gary McKinnon, and he hacked into the Pentagon and basically got the names of these pilots that did this. Space info. There are areas on the moon where plant life grows and even changes color with the seasons. The moon has a gravitational field and man can walk upon its surface without a spacesuit, breathing from an oxygen bottle after underground decompression like a deep-sea diver. There is some photographic evidence in the book We Discovered Alien Bases on the Moon by Fred Steckling. See if you can find that. The Dulce War. In 1969, a confrontation broke out between the human scientists and the aliens at the Dulce underground lab. Aliens took many scientists hostage. Delta forces tried to free them, but were no match. 66 people were killed during this encounter. Result, we withdrew from all joint projects for 2 years. A year later, we reconciled and once again interact, and the alliance continues to this day. Oh, we're friends again. Watergate. Nixon thought he could not be impeached, but MJ-12 had a different agenda. Impeachment trial would have opened up the files and bare the secrets to the public eye. Nixon was ordered to resign. He refused, and so the first military coup was promulgated. Joint Chiefs of Staff sent a top-secret message to the commanders of U.S. Armed Forces stating, upon receipt of this message, you will no longer carry out any orders from the White House. This was sent 5 days before Nixon announced he would resign. This is the first coup of the U.S. Info did not leak. President Ford organized Rockefeller Commission to keep the cover-up going, and even after the Iran-Contra scandal, nothing came out. Financial empire. A financial empire controlled by the CIA, NSA, and CFR controls and launders money from drugs and other ventures. Cooper lists some names like Henry Schroeder, the Banking Corp, Schroeder Trust, Schroeder's Limited, and others. You can look it up in the document if it's really important to you. The public is being prepped. It's being prepared. They're preparing the public for an eventual confrontation with an alien race. We're bombarded with movies, radio, advertising, and TV depicting almost every aspect of the true nature of the alien presence. Just think of every Spielberg film. Aliens control the secret societies. Throughout our history, the aliens have manipulated and or ruled the human race through various secret societies, religion, magic, witchcraft, and the occult. The Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission are in complete control of the alien technology and are also in complete control of the nation's economy.